My name's Elisha and I'm a young carer, and I have been for about the past 6 years. I've definitely been accessing young carer service for about 6 years. I wasn't recognised that I was a carer until I was about 13, probably in about year 9, and got to the point where my middle sister, she was in year 7, and we went to parents' evening, and my mum was like, we can't, like my mum had reached breaking point, she was like, we need some help, because I think maybe as a parent she was struggling with the guilt of it, having her children look after her and running the household. She has lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, sort of like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, so a lot of heavy things on her body, and an autoimmune disease, so she's ill quite a lot. I know a lot of people who I talk to through Young Carer Service, they have up and down days, whereas ours is kind of like up and down years, or like long periods of time, which obviously pushes on us as a family. And it was sort of that point was when she was going down and down and down, and she really started to pick up when I was actually starting my GCSEs, which was really good for me, obviously, and obviously good for her because she was getting a lot better. Probably about 2 years ago, my nana had a stroke, so she had to come and live with us. She's obviously more physically disabled than what my mum is. There's a lot more physical care that we have to give for her. My middle sister, she's 16, so we're really close in age, we're really close sisters, and I'm really glad I had someone like that to lean on. Even though I am the older one, we both had each other. So the main things we do are sort of things that you don't consider that you have to do as a child, and I know coming to uni a lot of people have had to do that for themselves, and I sort of look at it and think I've been doing that a long time. So we're sort of like cooking, cleaning, making sure my little sister's okay, because she needs to have a normal childhood, and we try to keep that in the centre of sort of what we do. We're lucky there's 2 of us. If it was just me, I don't think I would have been able to cope, because it's sort of like one of us deals with one thing, another one deals with the other. But it's even stuff down to trying to tackle washing. We live in a family of 6, and that is a lot. I think people don't consider that to be caring, but actually from 13, you should be picking up responsibilities, but cooking dinner every night and doing the food shop and all that sort of stuff. But when it does get bad, it is stuff like personal care for my mum and medication and all that sort of stuff, and obviously a lot of stuff for my nan as well. It's a lot of personal care for her. It's the hardest bit about being a carer is the mental side of it, which is why I'm so like for this campaign, because you don't realise how many people's problems you have on your shoulders. My dad's the functioning adult of the household, and there's a lot on his shoulders, to go out to work and make sure the family's running, and there is that guilt there as well. And obviously a lot of the children that I work with, it does upset me that, they're sole carer for their family, and it's like, I'm really grateful that I have my sister, because I couldn't imagine if it was just me and my mum. I wouldn't want anything to be put on my 9-year-old sister, because at 9, I can't imagine how my mum feels, because really I pick up that mum role. If I feel like that, how's she feeling? You know what I mean? That she can't take her to appointments, sometimes she can't go and see her assemblies. There's a lot of like equipment and care and like stair lifts and stuff like that my sister knows about. And medication, it's like I wouldn't really expect her to know what medication is, but she does, and she considers that normal. She thinks she's like great, really knowledgeable for knowing that, but actually as an adult looking down, it's quite sad, thinking about that, even though that's probably how I was, but it's different when it's you looking on someone else. There's still a lot of stigma around disabilities being a physical thing, so especially when you look at people who use blue badges for invisible disabilities, and I care for my mum who has a lot of invisible disabilities. To look at her, she looks normal, even though she's not. So there has been times where people have approached us and been like, do you have the right? And actually it's mortifying. Disability is a broad spectrum. It could be even something down to mental health, or it could be invisible disabilities, even down to something like IBS. Rather than, someone doesn't have to be dependent on a wheelchair or some sort of walking aid just to be classed as disabled. It's not nice, especially that sort of side of it, and the stigma around that. I've definitely found that with sort of my family. Obviously I look after my nan as well, where she's had a stroke, so you can see her physical disabilities on her left side. She can't lift her arm, but then when you look at my mum, people don't see stuff like chronic fatigue and sort of like lupus and fibromyalgia, the stuff that goes on the inside. I know my mum doesn't feel as if she is disabled, even though she is, and it's difficult to consider that there's stuff going on within people's bodies and inside people's heads, because I know that it's impacted her a lot, because she doesn't really see many people, many friends, doesn't socialise, and that's got to have impacted on her mental health. She's still my mum and she still wants to protect me from things like that, but you do see a lot of isolation in people, especially young carers as well, actually. I think it's difficult because you are expected to sort of console someone and help them through that, but then it's sort of like, who do you talk to? And I know for a long time I felt like I had to keep that all in. It was like I had to keep that on my shoulders, and that really didn't bode well for me, and really that affected my A levels more than it should have. And I was really lucky to have people to talk to, but actually I was bringing a lot of people's issues, like my whole family's issues, onto my shoulders, when really that's a lot at 16. And I look back and I think, like, how did I manage to do my exams, my A levels? How did I manage to carry on? And actually, now I look, there was a lot of damage to me. I was tired all the time. I was very irritable. I was snappy to everyone, and then that impacted me because I was isolated then, and it was really difficult because it all has like an impact. So it is sort of like recognising when you need to look after the carer, like who cares for the carer. Again, because I didn't think that I needed to talk to anyone. That was what I was supposed to do, even though a lot of people still think young carers, they shouldn't be doing that. But I know that if there was help out there, I would still help, because that is my role as my family kind of thing. That's my role to take care of my family, even though it should be the other way around. My mum and dad should be looking after me. It's kind of like, no, I'm part of this family, I need to step up and do it. So it's kind of like I felt the independence in there, but I felt like I also needed to stay independent. I didn't need any help. So obviously with the young carers helping me and like talking me through stuff and going, actually no, it is okay to talk to someone, it is okay to have down days, it's okay to break down and maybe need to step back from it a bit. And that was really difficult for me to recognise, that I needed that maybe just like 2 days break. But now I feel like I can go, okay, right, my 2 days off, these are for me, and then I'll carry on. And it's learning to recognise when you need to stop. And it's not stopping your caring role, it's about taking some time for you. So, even just like reading a book, watching a film, binge watching a series, like that is just so good for your mental health. And I think just recognising those things, that people who are young carers, especially going through exams, sort of GCSE A level, sort of maybe 15 to 18, I think they're really at risk of not knowing when to stop. Because I didn't stop, and obviously it didn't hinder me because I'm at university doing really well, but I could have been a lot happier and a lot healthier throughout that time as well. It's just difficult to know, really. There's not a lot of consideration around mental health and the well-being of the young carers. Generally, it is about how their caring role physically impacts them, so with whether they're able to get up and go to school, rather than what's actually going on inside their head. So I think it is really important to start considering that, especially with the shift in mental health and social media. They have found that a lot of young carers are struggling within themselves. I'm not saying anything. A lot of the young carers who look after someone is a physical disability as well. So sort of the mental health gets ignored. So we need to be looking after the carers, sort of like who cares for the carers. Some people just think, I'm just being dramatic or I'm just having an off day, when actually there's something further going on. So it's just important to consider that. I think when you get up in the morning you're tired as well, and I think a lot of people consider that being a teenager. You get up and you're tired, but no, it's different. If you're constantly tired and you just think, right, I need to pull my socks up and get on with it. Even if you don't go out a lot, because I didn't go out a lot, I was talking to less and less people, even just through my phone. I was kind of like, it seemed really silly, but if you were to look through, I'd not spoken to people that I didn't need to talk to. It's hard to notice because you think, no, they're busy, what I mean? But it's not. It's done for a reason. You pull yourself back from those situations. Even down to my family, I was talking less to my family. I was in bad moods, and it's really difficult to notice whether you're just being a stroppy teenager or actually there's something else going on. And I noticed I was a lot more emotional as well, and I was just crying all the time. It's horrible. And you just need to sort of notice, okay, take a good look at yourself and go, right, I'm not okay. That is fine. It's completely fine. You just need to learn when to stop before you go down, and you can't bring yourself back, because I don't think if I would have got to that point I wouldn't have salvaged my A levels and my GCSEs and that. You just need to keep an eye on it, because when it gets to a point and you're going to crash, there's nothing you can do. You just need to take some time for yourself. A lot of the one-to-one counselling, especially with people like Annie and Phil as well, even if it's just something really silly like, I've got this assignment, got this homework, I'm really stressed out about it, that can be the breaking point, because a lot of young carers can deal with the caring, it's the schoolwork, the working, you know what I mean? So yeah, I've mainly done the one-to-one support, which I found really, really useful. I would really recommend everything that Young Carers offers, because I didn't know about them, and actually they've eased a lot of the pressure. Even just talking, having a general chit chat, like whenever I see Annie at events like this, she's like, how are you doing? You know what I mean? And that's really nice to check in with someone, have someone that you know that if you're struggling you can turn to. I think Young Carers need to actually recognise that they do need help. They have worries about, are they going to turn out like their family? And some of them are unwell as well, so they need to make sure that they're looking after themselves. And yeah, I really, really recommend Young Carers because they're just great. I'm doing English education studies, and I'm finding university really great, actually. I've had a lot of support, especially through personal tutors. She is aware of the fact that I am a young carer, and actually it's really helpful because she understands kind of thing, and she understands the pressure, whereas it's not like admin. It's more like, actually, how are you? Which is really good. There's lots of counsellors that I can access. I can have sessions if I feel I need them. Equally, if I feel I don't have to access them. Within the first couple of weeks of uni, I was like, have I done the right thing by living at home and commuting? Because I was like, I feel like I'm missing out on everything, when actually I would have probably been in a worse mental state living here, because I'm so family orientated and I love having my family around me, love having my friends, and it's meant that I can have like the best of both worlds, which is really good, actually. I was really scared that I was going to be like this little fish dropped into like a massive ocean, and I was just going to be floating around going, what am I doing? And it did feel like that for the first week, but once I'd sort of, touched sides with everyone, touched base, I know that there's so much support, and actually it's not as independent as you think. There's always someone that you can talk to, be equally. You can be that independent person, there's always lots of options out there, which I think is the best thing about uni. I love the fact you can float around for 6 months and, if you're fine, you're fine, but equally when you're at that breaking point, they've got people in place, procedures in place where, you can be helped, which is great because it keeps you going. Whereas I don't want to give up at university. I don't want to get here, do all the work to get here and then think, wow, I can't do it. Where actually, I know the next 3 years I'm going to be able to do it. Even if there is highs and lows, I know I'm going to be able to come out the other end with that degree. Like, even down to the lecturers, so supportive. You have questions about deadlines, you can ask them anything. They are actually really nice and genuine. So I didn't realise there were so many services and people who I could talk to, and the signs. So obviously, looking after yourself, noticing changes within even like your personality. It was so overwhelming to know that everyone else in that steering group felt the exact same. And obviously there wasn't many people there, but it was nice because they were all at different stages. So obviously I hadn't started university, but there was girls who had started university. My sister had just come out of her A levels. People at college. We all feel the same, and we all know how to access those services now. And I think that should be, and it is, the main focus point of the campaign. Like, who can you go to when you need help? It might have been Samaritans. You can just text and you get someone to text back. And as a young person, that's really helpful because people have a fear of talking on phones nowadays, and you don't necessarily want to talk to someone, but if you text someone, it's a lot more anonymous and a little bit more sort of less of a deal. Where if you pick up the phone and go, actually, I need help, that's really overwhelming. People don't like to do that. I know that I would much rather text someone and go, help, I'm struggling, which is really nice to know that's there. It has inspired us to sort of bring it to the forefront of people's attention, especially the young carers, not just young carers, but sort of like try and do it on a bigger scale. So we've had a huge conversation online about the different hashtags and the different ways that we can reach young carers. Because obviously we're not just talking about young carers within the service, we're talking about people who don't know they're young carers. So as much as it is supporting our young carers, it's about helping those people that are floating sort of unknown, and that's why we wanted to take it on a bigger scale. So we're obviously thinking about getting people in from different charities, different companies, for like one big event where we can highlight these issues and actually what they're going to face. People from like university as well. And I think it's just it's good to know that we can organise something like that, and I didn't think we ever would be able to on a scale that's huge for people, even like within the university. One person, being able to recognise someone is a carer, that's really helpful. Highlighting all of the services to people, because there's so many that I didn't even know about, and I thought I was pretty thought about it, but I obviously hadn't. And so I think that is really important.